So here's a short sequence focusing on feeling and training core stability. We're going to start lying down. And as we know that a big part of our core stability is this rhythmic breathing. As we inhale, we're creating more pressure in the abdominal cavity, and as we exhale, there's a toning of support of that abdominal cavity from the back, around the sides, from the pelvic floor, also toning upwards. So we're tuning into how that breath rhythm gives us a different feeling on the inhale and exhale, and both of them are places where we can find stability. So let's start by feeling how we're moving as we breathe. As you inhale, this sense of downward widening pressure, front, back and sides. The tummy expands, the side waist expands. And as you exhale, feeling this sort of corseting of support, you can slightly exaggerate, particularly from the belly button down to the hips, the lower portion. There's a wrapping round and toning, and maybe a sense of support lifting up from the pelvic floor. So as you inhale, there's a downward widening evenly, and as you exhale, there's this sense of toning and support. So our first movement is going to be moving the legs, trying to keep the trunk still so that we activate core stability. The back of the ribs pressing down into the mat, and then the lower back might just be that bit lighter with the natural inward curve. And then from there, we're just going to reach the arms up out of the way, maintaining that contact of your back with the floor. So we're really not letting that change. Lift one leg up, and then tap the heel down. And then the other side, lifting the leg up, tapping the heel down. And you might notice the pelvis slightly swaying side to side. You might notice some more kind of firming in the trunk. So start to reduce the swaying of the pelvis, which again will engage your core stability more. And keeping your breathing going. Slow lowering down of the leg, which will be when the core has to give you that support and engage. And then take a breather, let your tummy relax. So that's just very gently starting to feel that tone happen. I'm going to add on to that, so arms up again, feeling the ribs, back ribs in contact with the mat, the lower back's lighter. Smooth breathing, lifting one leg up and then nothing moving as the other leg comes up to join it. Maintaining that contact of your back with the floor, smooth breathing, slowly lowering one heel down, feel the core kick in. Try not to move that top leg, it might want to move towards you a bit to add a bit of counterbalance. So we're keeping it right there at a right angle, lifting up and swapping sides. So you can either just let your breath be kind of smooth, or you could time it with exhaling, feeling that corseting as you lower your heel down. Inhaling, feeling increased pressure as you bring your heel up. There's no right way to do that. Just being aware of how you're breathing is part of your stability. Smooth breaths. Slow lowering down of the heel. And then let both feet come down. Relax your tummy. So we're going to do one more variation. So one leg up, arms up, other leg up, feeling the rib cage down, lower back lighter. As you inhale, inflating the whole of the abdominal cavity. As you exhale, feeling the toning. And this time, as you slowly lower one heel down, take the opposite arm above your head. So we're creating a longer lever. And then bringing them back to the first position. Doing the other side, remembering that that top knee that isn't moving stays exactly where it is. Just noticing if there's more effort required to keep your ribs down, to keep that trunk and spine in a stable position. Even breathing. If you want to add more challenge, start to reach the heel a little bit further away. If you feel like you're working enough, just tapping the heel down, sticking with that. So let's do 2 more to each side. Just tuning into that sense of tone and control. Coming back, and then take a breather, feet down. One more variation. Finding that contact with the floor, ribs down, lower back lighter, lifting one leg up to a right angle, second leg up, and this time pressing your palms into your legs. And then as you tune into your breath, just bit by bit, increasing that pressure of pushing your hands into your legs and your legs back into your hands. Keeping the breath smooth and even, and as you press, seeing if you can press so much that you start to shake. So we're challenging that core stability. Really feeling how your breathing is providing that support. Keeping those ribs pressing down. I'm going to count down for 5, 4, 3, maybe deepening your breath, 2, and 1. Bringing the feet down and letting your tummy relax. And then we'll roll and shift to tabletop position. Okay, so from tabletop position, we're just going to do a few warm-ups that will help in the movements to come. So the first thing we want to do is just warm up the wrists a little bit. So peeling the hands, turning the hands around, lifting up the edges of the wrists, and coming all the way back round. Let's do 5 palm raises, hinging at the knuckles in the tops of the palms, as smoothly up and down as you can, making the descent as slow as lifting up. It's about 8. Okay, and then gently turning the hands upside down, bending and straightening your elbows. So you can do this one hand at a time. Just stretching at the top of the wrist. You can do it 2 hands together. Okay, find a few circles through your wrists. And back to tabletop. And let's just warm up the shoulder blades. So finding either a circle through the shoulder blades, or you could press up and down, squeezing the shoulder blades together, widening them to the sides of the mat. So retraction, protraction, feeling that lengthening of the shoulders down away from the ears, and then shifting that into a circle if you want to do the circle version. Okay, and then leaning back. You can do this in a tall kneel if you prefer, just warming up the whole of the shoulder joint. So keeping your chest facing the mat, reaching your arm all the way up, rotating the palm away from you into internal rotation, reaching back and down, just toning through your body to drive that movement into the shoulder. And do 3. Back to external rotation, the thumb points to the ceiling as you reach forward, and last one, reaching up as high as you can, turning the palm away from you, keep rolling your arm inwards as you pull your arm behind you and down, reaching up, rotating, and up and down. Let's do the other side. So the chest staying facing forward. You can notice your trunk stability here as well. There's a tendency for the spine to want to arch a bit. So using your core strength there, your core stability, to maintain this sense of neutral trunk and spine. Driving as much movement into that shoulder joint as you can. So a little bit warmer through the shoulders and arms, and tuning in again to this core stability. So we're finding a neutral trunk position. back of the neck's long. There's a natural little dip to the lower back, so it's neither rounding up nor a big dip. So finding for that neutral-ish position in your lower back. And same for the upper back, neither collapsing through the shoulders, so there's a valley between your shoulder blades, nor rounding up. Can you feel like you have a good push through your hands into the mat, shoulders pulling down away from the ears. So taking your time to feel for this neutral trunk position, and then find a breath in that position. So can you feel the lower ribs expanding out sideways? Can you feel this kind of downward expansion through the abdominal cavity as you inhale? And as you exhale, this sense of toning. And we're slightly just exaggerating and just practicing sensing and feeling how the inhale and the exhale provide support for our trunk. Okay, once you've set that up, pushing down into your right hand a bit more, start to go lighter on your left hand and then lighter on your right leg. So we're going to lift that right leg and left hand off. So you're hovering on one side. Keep breathing and notice how suddenly your trunk muscular engagement is intensified. Breathing through that, slowly lowering down. So to not let the body sway, you're finding that sense of tension in your trunk. Let's do the other side. Pushing through your left hand, breathing smoothly. Start to go lighter on your right hand, lighter on your left leg. Hover them off, pushing the mat away with your left hand. Breathing there. Feeling that it's slightly intensifying feeling in your trunk. Coming on down. Let's do one more to each side. So we're not trying to hover and balance, go as slow as you can. So we're actually feeling that shift and transition to the trunk toning and firming to support us. So as you push through your hand, already everything starts to kick in to support. Hovering your hand and foot off the mat and come on down. Let's do a couple of stretches there, any way you like. So in between that kind of core intensity, just finding a little bit of looser movement. Okay, next one, hands might be a bit closer to knees, tuck your toes under, set the shoulders again, pulling down, pushing the mat away with your hands. And we're going to float the knees off the mat. What we're focusing on as we do that is that the back doesn't change. It's very easy to round up and let the front abdominals do the support of the movement, and we want to feel more of this inner core pressure system supporting us. So really aware of your back position before you start, keeping that natural little dip to your lower back. And when you're ready, pushing through your hands, float your knees an inch or two off the mat and hold. Find that sideways breath. And then we're going to count down slowly from 10. If 5 is enough, bring your knees down at 5. Otherwise, that's 10, 9, shoulders pulling away from ears, 8, concentrating on the breath, 7, 6, 5, relaxing around your face for 4, 3, 2, and 1, lowering down. Taking a breather and just reflecting on how that really ramps up the intensity of sensations in your trunk. So that's our time under tension practice, just holding it, feeling the core firming and supporting and engaging. And then let's just come into a down dog, pedaling the legs. And from in your down dog, floating your left foot off the mat, grounding through your right heel as best you can, and then go onto the fingertips of your right hand. So the left foot's up, the opposite side, right fingertips are on the mat. Pushing through the left hand for support, breathing, and you see how it feels to start to float your fingertips, maybe for a split second off the mat, Find your breath, feeling your trunk. If you feel really stable, you can even start to move your arm and leg around, adding more challenge to your trunk to hold you here stable. And then coming down. So let's float the right foot off, go on your left fingertips. Pause there, so not rushing into it. The goal is not to balance, the goal is to feel a sense of toning in the trunk while you breathe smoothly. So from here, see how it feels to go light on your fingertips. Can you feel that support from your whole trunk as you breathe? Once you're stable, try and move around a bit more, add a bit more challenge for the trunk. And then coming back down and lowering back down onto your knees. Reaching your right leg out behind you and take your left arm out to the side. So we're back to this tabletop position, and even with the arm out to the side and one leg straight, as you breathe, you can probably start to feel this wraparound toning happening. From there, push your right hand into the mat, rotate to the side. So feel that nice rotation through your rib cage, stretching through the trunk. As you exhale, just go slowly so you're feeling that tone happening, and just let your fingertips drop back down to the mat. Inhale, rotating. So now we're feeling a little bit of the obliques, the outer core if you like, supporting. As you exhale, slowly coming down, feeling the trunk support you. Thread your arm underneath, possibly bringing your head all the way to the mat and your shoulder. Maybe not so far. See how far under you can go. Just adding a bit more challenge, requiring more support, and then reaching back up again. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Exhaling, threading under any amount. Pushing through your hand, inhaling, rotating. Last one. Just feeling for that control coming from your trunk. And then reach your arm out to the side. Hold it there. Feel your shoulders are level, facing your mat. Your hips are level as well, so that right hip's not dropped. And see how it feels to float your back toes just an inch or two off the mat and hold. Finding that full breath to support you. Feeling your trunk. Turn your outstretched palm to face forward and reach that arm up. Aiming for your arm in line with your ear. Lifting up your thumb. Smooth, even breaths there. And then lowering down with control. You could take a child's pose, or you could have another pedal out into down dog. Just wherever you are, letting your tummy be really relaxed again. And let's do the other side. So reaching out through your left leg, right arm out to the side. Just pausing there. This is such a great position just to feel and sense all the different parts of your body. So feel your left shoulder supporting you, protracted and pulling down. Even hips. Breathing into the rib cage. And then start to push that left hand into the mat, find that rotation. Lovely stretch through your trunk. Exhaling and just lowering the hand to the mat for the first one, feeling that control. Inhaling up. Exhale, any amount of rotation under, might be to there, you might go down. And on the next one is keeping that arm out to the side, resetting that starting position, feeling the breath supporting your trunk, float the back toes up and hold. Keep pushing that mat away with your hand. Smooth, even breathing. Last little bit of challenge. Turn your outstretched palm to face forward. Reach your arm up and forward and hold. For 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering down. You could take a child's pose again, or come back into a down dog pedal. up to the top of the mat and let yourself relax into a forward bend. You're going to feel your tummy ballooning in towards your thighs as you inhale, and as you exhale, feeling the tummy soften. And coming all the way up. Hands down. Okay. And inhale, stretching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling, feeling that more neutral trunk position. Exhaling, one leg back. Inhaling up. Exhaling, rotating to the side. Taking a breath there. And then lowering your fingertips to the mat, top arm up. And just a couple of times going up and down. So you'll feel how a big part of this is that front leg, front foot pushing into the floor to give you stability, but also just feeling how your trunk is giving you stability in this rotated position. Top hand to the waist, lift your back knee up, reaching back up with the top hand, and then finding that control to come back up to standing. From here, slowly lowering down, aware of how your trunk is turning to support you. Top hand down, stepping back to down dog. Exhaling to plank. Just holding your plank pose for a moment and just feeling for how you can breathe through that trunk support. So the shoulder girdle needs to be in position. You're finding that neutral position through your pelvis, neither dipping nor rounding up. And bending back to down dog. Coming back up to the top of the mat. Folding forward. Inhaling to neutral trunk position. Exhaling, hands down, taking the other leg back. Inhaling up. Exhale, rotating. As you lower down, attention on your trunk, feeling that control. Coming back up, feeling that toning through the sides. So we're using the obliques here as well. And just noticing that sense of tone. Top hand to the waist, let's lift the back knee up. Reaching back up into the rotation, and then feeling that combination of your front leg and your trunk, providing the control to go up and down. And just allowing for any wobbles, which is all fantastic practice, coordinating your core with that leg. Okay, from there stepping back to your down dog. Exhaling, plank, and plank can be with knees down, body in a kind of diagonal position, just holding and practicing breathing into this sense of core stability, of your whole trunk being held firm. Shoulder blades are pulling down, pushing the mat away with your hand, aware of the position of your pelvis, and neither a big dip nor rounding up. Couple of breaths there, and then back to down dog. Back up to the top and folding forward. As you inhale, feeling how your body inflates, almost pulls you away from your legs with your trunk. As you exhale, your trunk can drop back down to the legs. Inhale, coming all the way up, reaching up. Exhale, hands down. Inhaling up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling, feeling that neutral trunk position. Exhaling to take the left leg back. Inhaling, coming up to a high lunge position. Just taking a couple of breaths there. And then just see how it feels to lean forward. So you're taking your upper body over the leg, away from your centre of gravity. And as you hold that, reaching your thumbs up to the ceiling, noticing how your trunk suddenly has toned a bit more. So as you breathe, just feeling that sense of control and tone through the trunk. And you know you've got it if you don't round, you don't arch, you can hold yourself in what feels like a straightish position. Coming all the way back up, notice how there's less core engagement required. From there, let's exhale to Warrior Two. Just bending and straightening the legs a few times. And from there, coming into side angle pose, reaching your top arm up and over. A couple of breaths there. So a couple of ways to engage the core here. One is to just lift the arm away from the leg and just feel your top side, the obliques on the top side start to work for you. Can you stay breathing smoothly? Another option is to reach both arms forward and hold yourself there. So you really want to feel a full, strong breath. From there, we're going to turn to face the front of your mat. You can bring one arm down, reaching forward with your left arm, possibly both arms forward, holding that position again. Smooth, even breathing. Lowering your hands down. Stepping back, finding your plank, any way you like, pulling down to the mat. And then from your mat coming into a baby cobra, lengthening the lower back, pulling your hands towards your waist, smooth breathing here. Pushing back to your down dog, and from there we're going to exhale to plank again. Take the feet wider, and you can do this with the knees down if this starts to feel tricky to maintain that position through your trunk. If you start to sag, just bring your knees down. Start to push more into your right hand so that you feel like you're going to float your left hand off. And notice how much you're leaning to the right with your hips to do that. And then the other side, pushing into your left hand, trying to keep your hips still and just start to peel that right hand off, noticing how your hips sway. Take a little breather, knees down. We're going to try that one more time. Just bear in mind that the goal is not to lift the hand up. Eventually we're going to take it to the opposite shoulder. But the goal is trying to keep still with the hips, and that will make the core stability really kick in more, and you'll feel that intense muscular effort. But that's what we're practicing. We're training the body to find that stability. So it's not, if you go fast, if you're thinking your goal is hand to shoulder, well, you'll end up using your core less to complete the movement. You'll just sway. So let's see how far we go. So knees up or down, finding that shoulder girdle support, finding that smooth, even breath of core support, pushing through your right hand, and see how it feels to lift the left hand off. You might take your hand to your shoulder, you might not. The main thing is slowly floating that hand off first and seeing what happens. So let's do a couple to each side. So you might just float your hand, you might lift it all the way up, but what we're aiming to do is to keep breathing and sway as little as possible. Pulling back to down dog, and coming up to the top of your mat and folding. Let's come all the way up. Hands down. And let's do the second side. I'm going to swap ends. Inhaling up. Exhale, folding forward, releasing the head. Inhaling, finding neutral spine. Exhaling, this time the right leg's going back. Inhale, taking your time for your high lunge position. And then just exploring leaning forward and how that change in your body weight over your center of gravity changes the needs for your core stability to support you. Keeping breathing. Can you breathe front, back and sides? So feeling that expansive breath holding you there. From there, let's switch to Warrior Two. Bending and straightening the front knee a few times. And let's take the arm to the leg, side angle pose. we can start to tune in a bit more to the obliques on the top side of the body, just floating the arm up and down. Can you breathe through that? Possibly seeing how it feels to reach both arms forward and hold yourself there. Can you breathe fully? And then rotating to the top of your mat. So you might keep one arm on your leg. That's already a great position to feel the support from your core. You could add 2 arms forward, watching that you're not collapsing through the back at all. Can you find a smooth, even breath? Lowering the hands down to the mat. Stepping back to your down dog. And just making your way, either child's pose here, or you could lie onto your tummy. Pulling yourself down, you could just take a few breaths here. You could come into a little bit of a baby cobra, pulling hands to waist. And then we'll make our way back to the plank position. So you can do this, remember, with knees down, feet quite wide, or you can do it in the full plank. And we're just watching that the back doesn't sag. We're maintaining that kind of neutral integrity to the trunk as we breathe. Start to push a bit more into your right hand and see how it feels to lift that left hand off the mat without moving anything else. And then try the other side. So the goal is to go really slowly, just that pressure of one hand into the mat and floating the other hand off. That's the most important bit. Trying not to move. So much easier with the knees down. Such a great place to start, because you'll still feel that little sway, and you'll still feel how intensely your trunk is supporting you. Let's do one more to each side. So it's great to be able to do maybe 10, 5 to each side with the knees down before you try and do the full plank version, and just let your body get so used to that intensity of toning. Okay, from there let's go back to down dog. Have a pedal. And walk back up to your forward bend. Let your belly soften as you release down. Let your neck relax long. Feeling the ebb and flow of your trunk moving away from your legs as you inhale. And towards your legs, lengthening the trunk down as you exhale. And as we ground through the feet, inhaling all the way up. And a long, slow exhale to centre. And this is a wonderful place to hang out and practice some back breathing. So while your tummy is squashed into the floor, you can practice with the inhale, inflating your lower back and into your sides. So let's just take 3 breaths there. You can even put 1 hand or 2 hands on your lower back to feel it. And just as you inhale, just having this sense of expanding into your hands, into the side waist and lower back. So minimizing how much the tummy's moving. And it will be a subtle movement at first. It will still feel like your tummy's doing most of the movement. It's quite relaxing as well. And that was our nice moment of calm before we do the next bit. Because we're going to come into Sphinx position. Just setting up elbows under, shoulders, arms parallel, hands down. And then first thing we do is kind of roll the legs in, as if the heels are moving away from each other, and lift the belly button away from the mat. So as you lift that belly button up, you can feel how you come into what I've been calling the neutral trunk, neutral spine position, which is just words to say you feel like your trunk is straighter, you're breathing into this cylinder of support. So the belly button's lifting up. When the belly button drops down, you can feel how your lower back, your lower spine is arching inwards. Lifting the belly button up creates that straighter feeling. You can firm your legs and glutes. Pull the elbows down towards the waist. Push your arms into your mat. So now your upper body's all engaging as well. I'm going to hold there and breathe. Keep pulling your elbows to your waist, moving your shoulder blades down your back, looking forward, finding that sideways breath, maybe a little bit more into your upper ribs. Growing long through the crown of your head. Just breathing that movement into your upper spine. And just feeling for the position of your neck spine rather than it being arched back, finding length through the neck spine, through to the crown. Okay, from there, let's drop the chin to the chest, curling the chin in, looking down at your tummy, and start to feel like you're lifting up. We're going to peel up through the hips and pull the elbows towards the knees towards the elbows. Try and round up, hold and breathe. Just watch for a feeling of pressure in your lower back, then you want to lower down. This pressure in your lower back, you can stay lower and just curl in at the chin and the upper ribs. If it feels okay, you're keeping up and then lowering down and coming forward again. Okay, from here, let's tuck the toes under, drop the chin to your chest, start to curl under, looking down at your tummy. Start to push your arms down, pulling your elbows towards your hips, and see how it feels to lift up. You can walk your knees in a bit. See how it feels to lift up, pulling elbows and knees towards each other, and breathe smoothly. If you feel strain in your lower back, just start to slowly lower down. Otherwise, holding for 3, 2, 1, and lowering all the way down. Okay, that's quite an intense one. So just curling up a little and holding and coming down might feel enough for today. And trying to feel that corset of support around your sides and not the lower back doing all the work. So we're going to do a couple of variations. That might be enough for today. So you could stick with finding your Sphinx pose, belly button lifting up, curling under just a little, lift up through the hips to feel that greater intensity around your trunk. Okay, so here's our next version. Chin to chest, curling under, toes tucked under, lifting up, pulling those elbows towards the knees. See how it feels to lift one knee up, the other knee up. Walk your feet in a bit and push down through your arms and hold. For 5, 4, 3, 2, smooth breathing, 1, lower one knee down, the other knee down, and lower down. So you might want to rest on your tummy before we do one more round of that. Now is it easier to feel that back inflation? Okay, let's do one more round, starting in Sphinx, belly button lifting up, pulling your elbows towards your waist and drawing the shoulders back and down, just finding that breath into the ribs and feeling this extension up through the crown, long back of the neck. Tucking the toes, let's drop the chin to the chest, curling under, lifting up through the hips, lifting up one knee and then the other knee, pushing strongly down through your arms, adjust the feet as you need. Now let's take the feet a bit wider and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rolling onto the sides of your feet, back to center. The other sides of the feet, you can lower your hips down to the mat, back up, back to center. Let's go to the first side, lower the hips down, pushing through the arms back up, back to center. Second side, lower the hips down, pushing through the arms back to center, really waking up the obliques. Back to the first side, see how it feels to take one arm off, hands to the waist, adjusting the feet as you need. Breathing there, really tuning into the sides of the body and slowly lowering back down. Recenter your feet, Second side, sides of the feet, pushing through the arms. Notice how the breath is supporting you. Back to center slowly. Find that center position, either lowering to your knees or holding for 5, 4, feel how the breath holds you, 3, 2, 1, one knee down, other knee down, let's push back to child's pose. And in your child's pose, feeling, in your child's pose, just feeling how your tummy expands in towards your thighs on the inhale, softens away on the exhale. It might feel good to move your hips side to side, just feeling the lower back having a chance to stretch out now. And from there, let's just come into a side child's pose. So reaching one arm across the mat, bending up the other arm. Just laying your trunk on the thigh as you turn to that side. Just breathing along your side and along the back. So back body breathing, side breathing. And again, just seeing how our breath can expand and inflate through the back, just slowly now. And sliding that hand in, let's do the other side. Reaching across, laying your trunk towards the outside thigh. And finding that movement of breath in your back. Full inhale into the back, ribs and waist. And slowing your breath down now. Okay, and then let's shift to lying down. And after all that focusing on your tummy, it can be nice to just have a stretch out lying down. Just wiggling your legs around, just letting your back arch away from the mat any amount. Just feeling complete freedom for your breath